Hi, this is Lisa
and Jason
from the Designated Quizzers podcast, and you're listening to Pop Goes Your World.
If you haven't already, subscribe on iTunes. And while you're there, please leave us a rating and review.
And now it's time for our featured presentation.
I'm Chris McBrien, and the pop culture from Generation X is everything to me.
And I'm Derek Myers, and I'm here to educate Chris on the great pop culture of today's generation.
Episode 332, Movie Dads. I'm Chris McBrien along with Derek Myers, and this is Pop Goes Your World, the pop culture podcast for the generations. This week, Derek and I are going to run down our personal top 5 movie dads of all time. But before we get to our top 5 list, Derek, what pop culture have you been able to take in lately, my friend?
Well, last week was an embarrassment of riches, and this week a lot less so. Did not have nearly as much time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was the long weekend, last weekend of summer, and I mean, I can't even use the excuse my kids were going back to school because I don't have any kids. But anyway, we had a lot going on, needless to say. So I only had a chance to watch a couple of things. The first thing was something that I teased a little bit on last week's show. On one of our cable channels, they started airing the $6 Million Man from the very first episode this week.
You told me. And by the way, you told me about that, and I went, there was a buddy of mine at work. It's funny enough, just like I think I might have mentioned it last week. The week before, he was like, you know, one show you just can't get, $6 Million Man. So you told me about that. I went and told him about it. And then he stopped me in the halls of the college this morning. And he's like, Chris, I gotta thank you. Tell your friend thank you. I recorded the show. I watched it. It's so great. So thank you. So he watched the $6 Million Man.
So what I learned this week was $6 Million Man, the TV show. So this is a little bit of a tangent. It's not like a normal show where it's just episode 1 starts and away you go. Apparently, and I had to look this up. So they did a made-for-TV movie pilot. It was a 2-hour movie. And it aired in, I think it was March 1973. And it didn't do that well. It did okay, but not that well. It didn't get picked up as a show. Then they did another 2-hour movie that was sort of like a continuation. And they recast a couple of the characters. Of course, Lee Majors was still the $6 Million Man. But in the second movie, he was already the $6 Million Man. And it was more of his adventures. And then the show didn't get picked up. Then they finally got around to saying, okay, we are going to do this show. So they made a third made-for-TV movie that was 2 hours, which aired like a few months before the show actually premiered. And then after 3 made-for-TV movies, they finally did episode 1, season 1.
So the one that they showed on TV recently was that one? It was the season 1, episode 1?
No, they've actually started with the movies. After the fact, went back and recut those 2-hour movies to make each of them 2 1-hour episodes so they could show them in syndication. And that's what we're getting. So I only had a chance to watch the first 3 episodes, which were parts 1 and 2, which were the first pilot.
Right.
Where he actually,
gets injured,
gets injured, gets the surgery, all that. And it's actually more of like a psychological drama. Like there's not really a lot of action. It's more the dealing with like a guy who had everything, loses everything, and then has this other chance to come back, but sort of thinks he's a freak because he's now a cyborg. It's not what I was expecting at all, which I can understand why audiences, especially in the early 70s, were probably like, I'm not digging this. And then the second one I started watching today. It was the 3rd episode, which was the first half of the second movie, and it's a little more action oriented. So I'm like, okay, I can see where they're going with this. And like even little things like, whenever he uses his bionics, it makes that sound. Like that sound wasn't in the first 2 movies. Like that's obviously something that they tooled and tweaked as the thing went on. So I'm kind of interested to see once we get into the actual like syndication of the show, which I guess won't be until next week, how that plays through. But again, it's very 70s. The costumes, the clothing, the hairstyles, even some of the dialogue choices, the fact that, the gender roles about like the kind of people they have cast in certain occupations of who they're dealing with. And the technology, like it's just so of a day, but it's so fun to go back and watch. Anyway, I've been having fun that. I also recorded Knight Rider and the A-Team, but I haven't had a chance to revisit those yet. So those are on the recorder. I'll tell you how those are by next week. So nice. I had a chance to do that. And then I had a chance to watch a documentary.
You did not.
For 40 days and 40 nights, he watches documentaries. He likes to learn about the world. It's Derek's Documentaries. Derek's Documentaries.
Do tell, my friend.
So this documentary hang on, before we even go into that, do you recall not too long ago I told you that we had temporary access to a channel that had like all sorts of music stuff on it?
Yeah,
we get like concerts and that.
Yeah.
So we're getting that channel again.
Nice.
I think it's just for a couple of weeks. So I've got my PVR madly set up to record all this stuff. Anyway, I had a chance to watch a documentary this week on the band Rush. It's called Rush, wow. The Rise of Kings, 1968 to 1981. The documentary is from 2014. It runs a little over 2 hours, and it's a getting to know the band kind of thing. And they have a lot of interviews with the band members themselves, a lot of people in the music and radio industry. Because the documentary is 10 years old, all the members of Rush are still alive, so they were able to talk to all of them. It's fascinating. I am a big fan of Rush, but honestly, I was sort of a Johnny come lately. I didn't follow them when I was younger, and obviously I wasn't born until the early 70s, so they were already a band by then. Going back and seeing how they got together as a band, how they did their first couple of albums, their first couple of tours, how they got really big in the US before they ever got big in Canada, and it's really interesting. If you're a fan and you don't know this history of them, I learned a lot. In the little song, it talks about how he likes to learn about the world. I learned all about Rush this week. Cool. I thought I knew a lot, but yeah, it was quite good. So anyway, if you have a chance, it's called Rush, The Rise of Kings, and it features the first 13 years of the band. And it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it.
Nice. So for me, I just going back to the $6 Million Man thing, when you mentioned that there, all these new shows or old shows are now being shown again for the first time. Another one, I went and I was like searching on my TV. Another one that I found, Charles in Charge. Now, Charles in Charge
reached out to me and he gave me crap, and he's like, when you talked about all those good shows from the 70s and 80s, why didn't you mention Charles in Charge? And I said, I don't necessarily have the same affinity for that show that he does, but I understand the show has a lot of fans, and I guess you're one of them. Tell us all about Charles in Charge.
So season 1 was kind of crappy. And then what they did was in season 2, then they totally changed the family. They recast, they had a new family. So I watched the first episode of season 2, and what I didn't realize was that, because I guess I'd never really seen that first episode. He comes into the house, Charles comes into the house, and he starts talking to them, thinking it's the old family. He's like, hey, whatever. He names the kid, and the kid turns around, and he's like, the kid's like, who the hell are you? And he's like, who the hell are you? And then they play up the whole thing. So that was pretty good. So watch that.
But that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that's not the thing I wanted to talk about. So I was on social media recently, and one of the accounts that I follow, actually several of the accounts that I follow, have to do with Gen X pop culture. Go figure. I know. Weird. So
on the nose. But okay.
This one account always posts old movie posters. That's all they do. They just post it. It's kind of cool, right? And the poster that they shared the other day was Under the Rainbow from 1981. Are you familiar with this movie? Have you ever heard of it before?
Well, I mean, the phrase is from the song from Wizard of Oz, but no, I don't know anything about
the phrase is Over the Rainbow, like the song. This is called Under the Rainbow. And so I actually went to see this movie in the theater when it first came out. I was 11 years old. It starred Chevy Chase and Carrie Fisher. And so that's why I wanted to go see it. I'm like, I got to go see this movie, right? And the thing I remember the most from it, of all things, was this brief naked breast in a shower scene in the movie. So as an 11-year-old, I was like, oh my God, this movie's great.
Was it Carrie Fisher?
No, it wasn't, unfortunately. So the idea was the movie is about what went on behind the scenes during the filming of The Wizard of Oz. Okay. And so, in the movie poster itself, it's got basically Chevy Chase and Carrie Fisher sort of front and center. Carrie Fisher is in her underwear. And
I'm just looking it up now. Yeah,
Billy Barty is a famous little person actor. He did all kinds of stuff. He's got his gun pointed at Chevy Chase's crotch And then there's like a rainbow above them with a whole slew of little people like standing and sitting on them. And then, Derek, there's the movie tagline. I'm going to read it for you, okay? Somewhere under the rainbow, way down low, Chevy Chase, Carrie Fisher, and 150 midgets are fighting valiantly to save our country against all odds.
Jeez.
Like, holy smokes. And then when you go look all the way down at the bottom, it's got another tagline, a giant comedy. Don't sell it short. It's like the whole thing is just like a play. It's just terrible. I'm like, I do remember the movie being quite bad, you know, other than that one scene that I liked. But the movie was terrible, I remember. And so I've never seen the movie since. I don't think it's streaming anywhere, nor should it be, because it was absolutely crappy. But I just saw that poster. I was like, oh my God. So you just looked it up and you're looking at it online?
I'm just looking at it now. Yeah. No, I've never seen this, heard of this, nothing. This is totally new to me.
Yeah. So
and based on your recommendation, I'm not going to be,
watch it.
Trying to find it on my streamers.
No, you should watch it. Okay, let's move on to this.
Here's your dad joke of the week.
All right, Derek, what rock group features 4 guys who can't sing?
See, if it had been a trio, I would have said Rush, but no, I have no idea.
That's Mount Rushmore.
Close.
I would have accepted Nickelback.
Woody Harrelson. Then along comes Hayden Christensen. Let me just say, not the most attractive Hollywood actor I've ever seen on screen. And I thought those words ring really true. $4 million to spend a night with Woody Harrelson? He looks like a grown man. He looks like he's 30. In this movie. He totally does. As you know, I love Raiders of the Lost Ark. Do you want to sleep with me? I absolutely love doing this podcast. I don't think so.
So, Derek, we've done TV dads before here on the podcast. We had Kean Cruz join us back on episode 223 back in like 2022.
Right. Yeah.
We did the top 5
Dad Bod.
Yeah, it was a Dad Bod, a portrait of pop culture papas was his book. And he joined us and we did top 5 TV dads. And so we also did TV moms back on episode 171.
I think we did the TV moms before we did the TV dads.
Yeah, it was back in like 2021. So we haven't looked at movie parents yet. So we thought it might be fun to run down our top 5 movie dads this week. Now, Derek, you usually like to set some ground rules or parameters. Is there anything you want to lay out before we get to our list?
Yeah, well, and again, unfortunately, you and I really didn't share the parameters ahead of time. While my picks sort of are going to follow this, I have no idea what your picks are, so I can't say if yours will follow the same quote rules that I'm going to put out. But
because all we said was just movie dads. So what did you want to put in place for yourself?
I number one, I was looking for original movies. I didn't want something that was from an adaptation of a TV show or a franchise IP or things like that. Because I started thinking of like, you could easily lean on things like the Harry Potter series, not Harry Potter himself, but like the Weasleys. The dad for the Weasleys is a good dad. Like he's a very integral part of the story. Or in comic books, a lot of the Marvel stuff, there are characters that are families, a lot of family-oriented characters and stuff. Fantastic Four, Ant-Man, there's a bunch of them. Again, I tried to stay away from all that. So I tried to look for things where it was more an original concept than original movie. But I also really wanted to find movies where the fact that the actor was a dad was an important part of the movie. Not necessarily that it's all about them being a dad, and there are a few of those, but I didn't want it to just be like, hey, I'm picking Rocky 3 because you know what? Rocky's got a kid. He's a dad in that movie, and I love that movie. Like, that's not going to cut it. I wanted it to be a movie where the character that's the father has important scenes and has a significant contribution to the movie in a way that the fact that they're a father is important. It's not just, oh, that could have been a guy without kids. It wouldn't have changed their role. It wouldn't have changed how this movie progresses. I wanted it to be something along that line.
Sure, that's fair.
And I think I hit it with mine. Yeah, okay. and some of mine really lean into that hard. Some not nearly as much. And so, like I said, some cases the dad is literally the main character of the movie. Other cases they are clearly more of a supporting character. But in all cases they have important parts of the film. They have important scenes. They play an important role. And as the father, that's part of the importance. So, and then I have a few honorable mentions just because there were a few that I couldn't add to my list for various reasons, which I'll run through when we get started here.
I wanted to put some rules in place too, and obviously I'm usually accused, and I guess rightly so. I usually have the textbook answers, that quote unquote textbook answer you always say. But for this week, I decided instead of going with like those textbook answers of like movie dads who are like role models and good dads and all that, instead I wanted to go with my personal favorite movie dads. These are personal favorites for me. I mean, I could pull out the textbook answer and go with like Gregory Peck as Atticus Finch.
Well, as I was going to say, Atticus Finch came up a bunch of times.
I do like him as a dad. He was amazing, great role model. But instead, I wanted to go with my personal favorite movie dads from some of my personal favorite movies of all time. So that's what I did. And you have some honorable mentions. You want to jump in on those?
Yeah. So the first one I want to mention is simply because I haven't seen the movie in 25 years and I didn't feel that I could talk about it to any great length. But Lawrence Fishburne in Boys in the Hood, every time I kept punching in the search engine, that one kept coming up at the top of the list.
That was, I think it was his first movie too.
He
was good.
Well, I don't know if it's his first movie, but it was definitely, he was still a rising star at that point. Everything I was reading this week was like, every list has to have this guy. He's one of the best movie dads we've had out there for so many good reasons. Such a good role model, and overcomes adversity and all the rest of that. And I agree with all those things. But I haven't seen the movie since the 90s, and I just can't talk about it because I don't know it well enough. So I can't include it on my list. Another one, because we're doing fathers, we said it had to be the dad. But if it could have been the grandfather, I would have definitely put Peter Falk from The Princess Bride on my list. Because he comes in and he reads the story, like he's the narrator of the story. Like it's he
basically is a father figure in that role.
That's exactly. Yeah. And then there were a couple others where there's like a sort of a quote father figure, and I was like, I tried to sort of shy away from those. One that I'm going to throw out here, and I think it's a little bit of a spoiler because I think people are going to assume this would have been on your list. And as we said before, we don't share our lists with each other, but we share them with a neutral third party, which is usually my wife. And I asked her, I said, is this movie on Chris's list? And she said, no, believe it or not, this is not on Chris's list. And so I'm not going to put it on my list either, but I think we have to give a shout out to Clark Griswold, Chevy Chase from the Vacation series.
I definitely thought of that.
I thought of it.
Yeah.
It didn't make my list, but I mentioned this topic to a few of my friends this week, and they were like, well, of course you got to put Clark Griswold on the list. He's the most famous movie dad of the 80s. I'm like, well, he is. There's no denying it, but I went in a slightly different direction. So he does not make my main list, but I feel that we would be remiss if we didn't at least acknowledge that he's a pretty famous movie dad.
And just the fact that he wants to do anything in his power to give this vacation to his kids to go to Wally World. So, and then of course they get there and it's closed. So I definitely thought of that one, but I didn't go with it. So. Okay, so why don't we start?
Do you got any honorable mentions?
No, just that would be the one. That would be the one, Clark Griswold, I would say. Other than, no, I don't have any honorable mentions. I just have my list. So we'll start with number 5, work our way up to number 1. You can kick us off. Your number 5 movie dad. What do you got?
So I was going to say, my actual number 5 apparently was already on your list, so I changed mine. So when we get to that one on your list, I'll just say that was the one I changed. But anyway, my number 5 pick, believe it or not, I'm going with Roger Murtaugh from the Lethal Weapon series, played by Danny Glover.
Good one.
So we got Lethal Weapon. Yes. The first one came out in 87. Then we had 89, 92, and 98 for Lethal Weapon 1, 2, 3, 4. And
such a good exasperated dad. That's good.
Yeah. Like, I like that the fact that, yes, it's a buddy cop movie and it's an action movie, especially the first one is very much an action movie. It gets, you get more humor thrown in as these characters get a little more humanized and get to know each other as both characters and performers. But the heart of his character is that he is a dad to this family and he is trying to be the best dad he can to these kids. I mean, in the first one, his daughter gets kidnapped and he goes and literally rescues her and kills the bad guys. But even in the later movies, when I think it's the third part.
The second one is when she makes that commercial, isn't it? Where she's in her bikini.
With the condoms.
Yeah.
And all the guys at work are teasing her.
Yep.
But I think it's in the third movie. There's kids with guns get shot and he ends up shooting a kid who's a friend of his son's. And so again, it's that whole idea of the dad and the family and the closeness to his community. And then in the fourth movie, you have the Asian refugees that he takes in. Again, it's that extension of being a provider and a caretaker and wanting to do well for those that need help. So I had to put him on the list. He is literally the father to the kids in his house, but through the course of these movies, you also get to see him just be that sort of father figure to all these other characters. And that's a very important part of his character. It helps drive his motivation. I couldn't imagine that character working anywhere near as well if he had been single. If he had been a single, well, maybe if he'd been a single dad, but if he had been a divorced dad with no kids, if he had just been a single guy, like it wouldn't have worked. And again, you have Murtaugh, who is the opposite, right? He's a single guy. He's a widower. He doesn't have the family, and he essentially gets adopted by Murtaugh's family. So I got Murtaugh as my number 5 pick.
No, that's a good one. Okay, so like I said, I'm going with like personal favorite ones here. Okay, so my number 5 is Harold Howard, who is played by James Hampton, who is Michael J. Fox's dad in Teen Wolf.
That was it. That was my pick.
Oh, really?
That was my number
yes.
5.
I'm
that
so
was what
glad.
I changed.
So he was James Hampton, probably best known for F Troop on TV, but he actually studied acting with Leonard Nimoy. And then he did a bunch of theater back in the 60s with another young actor by the name of Burt Reynolds. And they became really good friends.
Wasn't he?
Yeah. Burt Reynolds put him in 4 of his movies. You know, so the thing is, like, when you watch Teen Wolf, he's like this really familiar looking guy. Mm-hmm. Like he just looks very familiar when you watch it. And he's such a good dad in that. And I love him in Teen Wolf. So if you're not familiar with the movie, well, you should be, you know, because it's a little movie from
the movie, not the crappy CW TV show.
No, I'm talking about the 1985 Michael J. Fox movie. And in it, Michael J. Fox turns into a werewolf. And it turns out it's this hereditary trait from his family. And his dad has it, you know, as well. You know, but his dad never told him because it usually skips a generation.
Sometimes it skips a generation. Yeah.
I think his dad wanted to shield him, you know, from that if possible. And he's just this calm, nice guy. You just love the guy. And even when he turns into the werewolf himself, he's just standing outside the bathroom door, all calm, cool, covered in fur, wearing his glasses.
Oh my God, laugh every time I see that. I laugh. He's so funny. It's such a great visual.
It really is. It's like, the thing is, Teen Wolf isn't like the best movie from the 80s by far, but I've always loved it. I've always had a really soft spot for it. It's got my all-time teenage crush in it, Boof.
Right.
Susan Ursity. Oh my God, I have been in love with her forever. And it's got Michael J. Fox. Who doesn't like Michael J. Fox? He's great. And it's got one of my all-time favorite movie dads, James Hampton. So I think if you know, you know, and you know he's an amazing movie dad. So number 5 for me. So what do you got for number 4?
All right. I'm going. So all my picks from here on in are from the 90s or newer. So I don't think there'll be any risk of us stepping on each other's toes here.
Mine are all older. So
this is from a movie from 93 that a lot of people are probably going to be like, I never heard of this movie. It's a movie called My Life. It stars Michael Keaton and, oh my God, I'm blanking on her name. Nicole Kidman.
Okay.
And the character Michael Keaton plays is Bob Ivanovich is his name. And the start of the movie, they find out that 2 things. Nicole Kidman is pregnant with their first child, and he is diagnosed with terminal cancer and is not likely to live long enough to meet his child. And the movie is all about him coping with this loss as his wife's going to have to raise his child without him. And one of the things that makes this movie so great is he decides he wants his child to know who his father was or is, or I guess was. And so he records all these videotapes of life lessons for, it turns out they're going to have a boy, so for his son. And he teaches him all these different things. And through the course of the movie, you just really start to feel the love this father has for this child that he is never going to meet. And it's just this emotional roller coaster because, you know, as she gets closer and closer to having the birth of this child, the dad just gets sicker and sicker and sicker. And if you don't cry when you watch this movie, like, you are a heartless bastard. But it's a great movie, and his portrayal as a father is just like, the love comes right off the screen. and you know that these videos are more than just the practical aspects of here's how you change a tire, here's how you shave your face, here's how you make dinner. You can just feel the love coming through of a father for their child who wants to leave some mark on the world for this child, some legacy for this child to know, I was your father, this is who I was, and this is how I want to contribute to your life. I'm getting choked up just thinking about it. So that's my number 4 pick is the movie My Life from 1993.
Oh, yeah. I like that. It's a lesser known movie. I didn't really know much about it until you started talking about it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so my number 4, I'm going with Jack Chester, who is played by none other than John Candy in Summer Rental from 1985.
Oh, I just watched that for the pod.
I love this movie. And so in it, John Candy is an air traffic controller from Atlanta, and he's like all stressed out. He almost has these 2 planes collide because a fly lands on the radar screen. So his boss says, you know what, you got to go on vacation. And all John Candy wants to do is just get in some relaxation and give a nice vacation to his family. But of course, everything that can go wrong does go wrong. And he's trying to deal with it all. So the thing is, too, I've mentioned this before. One of the things I loved about John Candy, and there was a lot to love about him, one of the things I loved about it was the fact that in like all of his roles, he's super likable, but he always brought an edge to his characters. And it's like in this movie, like when they're in the wrong summer house and the couple comes in the middle of the night to kick him out. Mm-hmm. And John Candy packs everything up and he's carrying his daughter out. And she says, I peed my bed, Daddy. He's like, no, you peed their bed. right in front of them. I'm like, wow. And then they go to that crappy cottage on the beach and everyone comes in. Remember, they take over the cottage. And John Candy comes home and he finds the guy laying in his bed. He's like smoking a cigar and watching the Smurfs on TV. And he says to the guy, yeah, you ever see the one where the guy beats the get out of Papa Smurf with a crutch, and he starts swinging his crutch at the guy, and then he ends up racing in that local regatta, and he gets his whole family involved, and then of course to get over the finish line, he puts up his oversized pants as the final part of the sail to get them across the finish line. It's just great. So John Candy in Summer Rental, definitely not your traditional movie dad, by all means, but one of my all-time favorites. So that's my number 4. So. What do you got for your number 3?
Well, I'm glad yours was very light and upbeat because I got a really stoic and depressing one.
Oh, okay.
I have
even more sad than the last one.
Well, for different reasons.
Okay.
So I'm going with the father who is not named at all in the movie and is simply referred to in the credits as Man, and it's from the movie The Road from 2009, and the man is played by Viggo Mortensen. Now, if you're not familiar with this movie, I'll tell you a little bit about it because I think we talked about this when we did a show about books that could turn into movies. Mm-hmm. So this is based on a book also called The Road by Cormac McCarthy. And it's a post-apocalyptic story, which is right up my alley. And the idea is that a nuclear apocalypse or something like that has happened. And this father is raising his son alone. In the book, it's not really explained, but in the movie, the mom basically just takes off. She can't handle it, and she just leaves. So the dad is left to raise this young infant by himself. And then the movie fast forwards about 10 years, and the dad realizes the world has become a very scary and dangerous place. And the dad is starting to, again, he's getting sick, and he realizes that if he leaves I think the kid's only supposed to be 10 or 11 at this point. And he's like, this kid is not going to survive by himself in this war-torn post-apocalyptic world. So the dad takes him on a trip on the road of life, the road to freedom, the road to safety. And they go on this cross-country journey looking for some sort of safe haven or some people that, the dad can hopefully leave the son with. And it's this depressing and inspiring story both at the same time. Depressing in the sense that you can just see all the hardships that everyone who lives in this world has to endure, and some of the ridiculous and crazy and dangerous things they have to do to survive. And at the same time, it has these little glimmers of hope as the son is experiencing some of these things for the very first time, because he's obviously had to live a very sheltered and protected life, literally for his own safety. And as he's traveling the world with his father on this road, he gets to see some of the things that the world has to offer. And again, it's the story of this father, like literally in the credits, it's just man and son. That's how, like, they don't even acknowledge, they don't even give them names. It's just this generic father and son pairing. And again, it's this father doing anything and everything he has to do for the betterment of his son in a world that would literally kill the son if it could. And it's you know, a little bit of a spoiler. At the end, the son does get to a better place, and unfortunately the father does die, which, trust me, you're halfway through this movie and you don't realize that's how it's going to end. You're not paying attention. So but no, it's like I said, it's both depressing and inspiring at the same time, and it's not a glamorous depiction of fatherhood, but it's a very practical description of what the best fathers will do for their family. In this case, for his son to literally survive when he's gone.
Nice.
So, The Road from 2009.
All right, my number 3, I'm going to go with Jack Butler, played by Michael Keaton in Mr. Mom from 1983. So, after he got his breakout role in Night Shift, Michael Keaton got offered his first starring role in this movie, Mr. Mom. And the thing I like about this movie, and what I like about him as a dad in it, is that it takes a look at the idea of gender role reversal, which was a big deal for 1983. So in this movie, his wife is the always amazing Terry Garr, another one of my lifelong crushes. God, I loved her. She was amazing. So she, in this movie, she's the breadwinner. She's an ad executive, and Michael Keaton becomes a stay-at-home dad. And he does the cleaning and the cooking and the grocery shopping. And there's a great scene at the grocery store where Edie McClurg is the cashier, and he's buying all this stuff. And then there's a box of maxi pads, and Edie McClurg's like, "Oh, I think those are on sale." And she grabs the store microphone and she's like, "Irv, are these Kotex maxi pads on special?" And Michael Keaton grabs the mic from her and he's like, "Never mind, Irv. It's all right. Just forget it." And it's so funny. I just like how the whole movie just flips the whole gender roles sort of on its head. And it's actually a really good movie. It's definitely of its time, and but it represents what a dad could be back in 1983. So for a Gen Xer like myself, I thought he was a really good dad in Mr. Mom. So that's my number 3. So on to your number 2.
Yeah, when I was looking at the movie My Life with Michael Keaton, I thought the same thing. I'm like, this is not the traditional Michael Keaton dad role that you would expect. I figured Mr. Mom would have been the pick. So when my wife was comparing our lists and she saw it, she goes, "Oh, there's a duplicate." "Oh, no, wait, not a duplicate." I'm like, "Oh, what's that all about?" She's like, "You'll see."
Yeah. So there you go.
Right.
That's it.
All right. I'm gonna completely flip from my last pick, and I'm gonna go with a happy and funny dad.
Oh, good.
I'm going to go with the dad from American Pie, Jim's dad, played by Eugene Levy, who in the second movie we get a name. His name is Noah Levenstein, but in the first movie, we don't know that. He's just Jim's dad. So American Pie was 1999, the American Pie 2 was 2001, and then the American Reunion was in 2021. They did a whole bunch of straight-to-video sequels, which Eugene Levy's actually in a bunch of them, but we're not going to acknowledge any of those. But in the first movie especially, here is a movie that focuses on the extreme awkwardness of teenage boys, and the dad, who in these kinds of movies, traditionally the parents are usually oblivious or serial. And the fact that the dad is so open to embarrassing himself, knowing how much his son is being embarrassed at the same time. Like, literally, this movie's about a guy who a pie. Well, it's the dad who walks in on him doing it and then helps him cover up the mistake so that nobody else has to find out about this embarrassment. And that's just so indicative of a good dad who understands, maybe not literally, that, hey, I don't know why he did that with the pie, but he can relate and sort of go, okay, as your dad, I think I know where this is going, and we're going to have a talk. He buys some of the pornographic magazines, and it's like he has that very awkward talk where he tries to describe the pictures. He's trying not to seem dirty or creepy or inappropriate, and the son is obviously super embarrassed. But when the kid has a problem, he knows he can go to his dad. He knows his dad, while, is clearly embarrassed or wants to laugh at him, the dad is on his side. And I think in too many movies, especially more recent movies, when the kids get into trouble, they don't feel like they can go to their parents. And on the rare occasions when they do, there's all sorts of conflict that happens. You know, the parents are judgy. Why did you do that? Or the parents, you know, don't believe them. So it's refreshing to see a circumstance where you have a young person who is going through something we've all gone through. I'm not saying we've all done that with baked goods, but, you know, is going through some stuff that the dad clearly can understand and be supportive, like a good parent should. And he had to make the list. Again, when I mentioned this topic to a few people that I work with, Clark Griswold came up and Jim's dad from American Pie came up. And I just had to say, I'm like, yeah, I already got American Pie on the list. So my number 2, Jim's dad, Noah Levinstein, played by Eugene Levy in the American Pie movies.
That's a good one. Okay, my number 2, I'm going to go with Cleo McDowell, played by John Amos from Coming to America from 1988. So John Amos was an amazing TV dad on Good Times, and I'm pretty sure he was on my list when we did that episode with Keanu Cruz.
I think he was, if I remember correctly, yeah.
And he's an amazing movie dad in Coming to America. So there's so much going on with his character.
I need you to make the case for this one, but keep going.
He's a successful business owner, right? He owns McDowell's, which is a McDonald's ripoff, even though, as he puts it, the two are totally different. I love that scene. He's like, they have the Big Mac, we have the Big Mick. They have 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, onions on a sesame seed bun. Our buns have no seeds, you know. But he's got to balance this business with his home life. And, you know, he would be what you would think would be a very successful person with a very nice house and a nice family until King Joffy Joffer shows up. And I like how John Amos handles that whole thing. Like, he offers him, first of all, the hors d'oeuvres. Remember, he's like, they're the frozen pigs in a blanket, but you'd never know it. Yeah. And so King Joffy Joffer makes it seem like it's a peasant house. And this just sets John Amos off. Because he's like, you know, I'm successful. He is like what a successful American would be, especially as an African American. And then he's got this other African American king who comes into his house and basically says he's a peasant, he's below him. He stands up for his family. He's successful, even if when you compare to a king, you know, like I feel like he's a way better father than Joffy Joffer. So I liked him. He stands out as a good dad, and he's one of my favorite movie dads. And John Amos just oozes charisma anyway. So he's my number 2. I really like him a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I like him as a performer, and I did like his character. I just because I thought about this one as well, and I'm like, I don't know. It just, the fact that seemed like he was trying to pimp out his daughter to Eric LaSalle's character, like that sort of part of it just really rubbed me the wrong way. He seemed to be just too focused on the money side of it. But I guess you can still be a good dad and you know, want that. So that's fair.
And again, his character wants to be upwardly mobile, right?
Sure.
And so that's a big part of it. And he just wants to be successful and give his family lots of good things. And so I don't know, that's why I liked it. So on to your number 1 for that. What's your number 1 movie dad?
Well, if you thought The Road was depressing, wait till you get this one. But this was my number 1 pick. Okay. Without question. I'm going with the movie Life is Beautiful from 1997. The character played by Roberto Benigni. His name was Guido Orifice. And for those who maybe are not as familiar with this movie, it's essentially 2 movies. Like it's clearly two acts, very, very deliberate and very different. And it takes place in Germany in World War II, or I guess it's in Italy because he's Italian, when the German occupation in World War II. And the first half is this beautiful love story about a man meets a woman, fall in love, and they have a child. And then the second half of the movie is World War II happens, German occupation, and because they're Jewish, they get put in a concentration camp. The men get separated from the women, and so Roberto Benigni's character, has a young son who is, what do you think, 4 or 5 years old? Like, he's very young, and trying. He as the father, he is trying to shield his son from the evils of World War II, of the Nazis, of the hate, of the bigotry, of the straight up murders and death that's happening. So he convinces the son that they are in a game show, and he pretends that whenever the Germans come in and speak German, the dad pretends he's the translator, and he just tells the son what he goes, oh, well, today he says we're going to go on a game and we're going to try and earn some points. And if we get enough points, we get to win an army tank. Wouldn't that be great? And the kid's like, yeah, that sounds like fun. And he's like, okay, what are we gonna do today? Well, today we're gonna see how many shirts we can iron in the laundry, or something like that, right? Like something where they're actually having the prisoners do whatever it is they're getting the prisoners to do. And the dad is continuing to try and shield the reality of what's happening from his son. And through the entire movie, you are basically watching the movie with a smile on your face because of the love of this father that's doing such a good job of keeping the spirits of his son up. And his son is so happy through the whole movie. The son never realizes the horror that is happening all around him because the father is constantly presenting things in a way to make the son happy. And it's like, I remember watching this the first time and sort of thinking, like, for a movie that is about such a horrific subject, you really feel upbeat through so much of it because of how the dad handles it. Like, Benigni is a physical comedian. He does a lot of funny things. Not that this movie is a comedy, but he is very positive. He does a lot of very funny things and there's funny situations that come of it, largely deliberately, so that the son laughs. And we as the audience laugh along with them, even though we as the audience clearly know what's going on. And right up until the very end of the movie, where they are literally marching his character off to be shot and killed, he is acting as if this is, he is going off to win the prize of the army tank. They're getting their final points. And the son is watching his father get literally marched to his death to be executed by firing squad. And the son is happy because he thinks that they've now won, or they're about to win this prize. And then, of course, 10 seconds later, the Americans come and liberate the camp, and they break down the wall with an army tank, and the kid sees the army tank that his dad's been promising the whole movie. And you're just like, oh my God. By that point, you're already crying because you understand what's happening. But the fact that the son sees the tank and it's the happiest day of his life, and you're just like, oh my God, the emotions that run through with this movie. But just the power of a father to be able to shield his son from ultimately the absolute worst thing that he could ever experience in his lifetime is just remarkable. And so when we talked about fathers on film, like this is the number one for me. There was no question. This was number one the whole way. And yeah, it's depressing and it's a tough topic to discuss, but this is it, number one. I'm sorry you got to follow this one, buddy, but I know, this is my number one pick. Life is Beautiful.
Tough shoes to fall. I gotta be honest here. I have never seen Life is Beautiful.
Wow.
And as soon as you mention it, though, like, I'm familiar with it, and to know that it was about a dad shielding his son from the horrors of the war. So I'm like, oh my God, what a great pick. So you might have to nominate that on the shows here sometime so we can watch it.
I literally have it on my DVR right now. It was on not too long ago, and it's been a while since I saw it. So yeah.
Yeah, you might have to think about that. Okay, because I do want to see it. Okay, my number one. I'm going with Jim Baker, who was played by Paul Dooley in 16 Candles from 1985. So I just realized 3 of my 5 dads are from movies from 1985. Unreal. So there is just something about Paul Dooley in 16 Candles. I always thought he was an amazing actor. He's kind of effortless. And because he's so, like, he's not like a leading man type kind of guy. He just, I don't know. He's a great character actor, and he always seems so real. He's an actor that just finds truth in what he does. And I think he's never been better than he was in 16 Candles. He also played a really good dad in Breaking Away back in 79. He was amazing in that movie too. But for me, it's 16 Candles. So he's a good dad throughout the movie. And I know that's crazy to think that he's a good dad when he forgot his daughter's 60th birthday. But, just stay with me. That's not the strongest way for me to start my argument. But the thing is, he's like a perfect dad in every way. He's got to deal with all this craziness. There's, one of his daughters like marrying into like a mob family, and he's got this house full of crazy relatives. But it's the talk that he has with Samantha on the couch at night that I think make most people think of him as a classic movie dad. So she confesses to having a crush on Jake Ryan and how much it hurts. And he says to her, he goes, that's why they call them crushes. If they were easy, they'd call them something else. And there's just the way he delivers the line. I don't know. There's just something about that. It's always resonated with me. And it's a great scene. And I think most Gen Xers will agree that he's like the perfect movie dad from our generation. There's just something about him. So he's my number one. So there was no doubt when I made this list, he was going to be number one for me.
When I was talking to my wife about this, she said that was probably her number one pick as well. And I said what you just said, though. I said, I don't know. He forgot the daughter's birthday. And she's like, yeah, but you got to look at everything else, especially this speech he has with her at the end. And I was like, okay, that's fair. I'll give it to you. So.
And then at the end, when she finally meets up with Jake Ryan, she doesn't confide in her like best friend or her sister. It's her dad. She gets his attention and she's like, this is the boy. This is the boy. And he just looks and he's like, gives her an okay. All right.
Yeah.
You know, there's just a real connection there that it's so real. I don't know. Oh, it's so good. So I just love it. Okay. What do you say on that note? We have some
fun with Caveman.
All right. So a lot of actors, Derek, have had dads who are also actors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quiz you on famous actors who are also the dad of an actor or actress. So here's how it's going to work. It's really simple. I'm going to mention the name of an actor or actress, and all you have to do is tell me who their famous dad is. Got it? It's actually really easy.
I'll try.
It's easy.
I am so bad at these things where you have to name the actor. But
I've got a list here, and like I say, I'll mention the actor or the actress, and you just tell me who their famous dad is. The dad is an actor as well. Okay?
Okay.
So we'll start with an easy one. Michael Douglas. Who's Michael Douglas's dad?
Spartacus. Kirk Douglas.
Correct. Kirk Douglas is right. See, this is easy. Okay, Jeff Bridges. Who's Jeff Bridges' actor dad?
I almost said Beau Bridges, but that's his brother. It's Lloyd Bridges.
Correct. See, this is easy. You got this. Okay. All right, Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda.
Oh. Henry Fonda.
Yes, correct. How about Bridget Fonda?
Is it not the same dude? I don't know. Is it not Henry Fonda as well?
No, it's Peter Fonda.
Oh.
It's Peter Fonda is her dad. Okay, sure. Josh Brolin. Who is Josh Brolin's actor dad?
It's Mr. Barbra Streisand. What the hell's his name? James Brolin.
That's it. You got it. Okay, Emilio Estevez. Who's Emilio Estevez's actor dad?
Oh, his dad is Martin Sheen.
Correct. Okay, Dakota Johnson. Dakota Johnson.
It was Don Johnson and Melanie Griffith.
That's correct.
Her parents?
Yeah, so Don Johnson is her dad, right. Okay, Willow Smith. Who's Willow Smith's dad?
Willow. Oh, isn't that Will Smith?
It is Will Smith. Yeah, it's correct. Okay, Laura Dern. Who is Laura Dern's dad?
Oh, is it Bruce Dern?
See, you're getting these. It's easy, right?
Well, they got the same last names for most of them. That's making it a lot easier.
That does help. Jennifer Grey. Who is Jennifer Grey's dad?
Oh, that was... oh, my God. Joel Grey.
Yes. From Cabaret, and of course, one of my favorites.
From Remo
Williams. The Adventure Begins. Yep. Okay, Jamie Lee Curtis. Who was her dad?
Oh, that was the other guy from Spartacus. What the hell was his name? It was Tony Curtis.
That is correct. Okay, Sean Astin. Who is Sean Astin's actor dad?
Oh, that was the Addams Family guy. His name, what the hell is his first name? He was just on an episode of Tattletales I was flicking by the other day. His name is...
Very good watching Tattletales. I'm impressed.
Oh.
He was on there with his wife, Patty Duke, of course.
With Patty Duke, yeah. No, I can't remember his first name.
Oh, it's John Astin. John Astin.
Yeah. Okay.
Angelina Jolie. Her dad was an actor.
Oh, John Voight.
Very good. Okay, Myra Sorvino. Myra Sorvino. Who's her dad?
Oh, that was Paul Sorvino.
Yes, that's correct. Tatum O'Neal. Who's Tatum O'Neal's dad?
Mr. O'Neal. I don't know what his first name is.
Oh,
no idea.
Ryan O'Neal. They actually even acted together in Paper Moon. Okay, Ron Howard. Who's Ron Howard's dad?
He's a famous dad?
Mm-hmm. He was an actor.
Andy Griffith.
No, it was Rance Howard. Rance Howard was his dad. Okay. Natasha Kinski from Cat People. Oh, one of my favorites. Big time.
I don't know who that is, so I have no idea.
Oh, Klaus Kinski was her dad. He was in Nosferatu.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, Juliette Lewis. You know Juliette Lewis. Who was her dad?
Oh, Juliette Lewis. I don't know. I didn't know she had a famous parent.
Her dad was Jeffrey Lewis, the guy from those movies with Clint Eastwood. You know, like Any Which Way You Can.
I know the movie, but I don't know who
you'd know about. Jeffrey Lewis if you saw him. That's her dad. Okay. Campbell Scott. He was in the movie Singles. Campbell Scott. Who's his famous actor dad?
Well, I'm going to take a guess with George C. Scott.
Correct. Yes, George C. Scott. Okay, I got a tough one for you. Martha Plimpton. Who was her dad? He was an actor as well.
Oh, that was, it was the guy. He was in Good Will Hunting. He was one of the therapists they went to. His name was George Plimpton.
No, I'm sorry. You're thinking. No, it was Keith Carradine was actually her dad.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
She took her mom's name. Shelley Plimpton's name.
Oh,
but
okay.
Keith Carradine was her dad.
I always assumed that was her dad.
And the last one, this one was a new one for me. Jennifer Jason Leigh. You know Jennifer Jason Leigh from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Who was her dad? He was an actor, believe it or not.
I have no idea.
It was Vic Morrow was her dad. He's the guy that was killed on the set of Twilight Zone, the movie, by the helicopter. Remember in the John Landis?
I remember the story, but I don't know who he is.
So her dad, Vic Morrow, was killed in that scene, and right after he was killed, and she wanted to become an actress, and to separate herself from that whole sort of, not that it was stigma, but just from that whole thing that went on, she changed her last name. So she went Jennifer Jason Leigh. Very interesting. I never knew that Vic Morrow was her dad. Yeah. So you learn things doing this podcast. Okay, so next time, it's time for another movie review. It is my turn to pick a movie for us to watch and review. And I mentioned this one on my list tonight, and I want to go with this one. I think it's a real slice of life from the early 80s, and it might be fun to go back and watch it again through the lens of today, especially. I want us to go back and watch and review Mr. Mom from 1983.
Something is going to be Teen Wolf.
Yeah, Mr. Mom. It's available for streaming for free on Tubi. I love Tubi. It's great. So you're going to go back and watch Mr. Mom from 1983 on Tubi. Next time out, we're going to review the movie, and we're going to go back and visit it. Like I say, it's a real slice of life from the 80s. It should be a lot of fun to watch, I hope. So you up for that? You all good to watch it?
Yeah, I want to say I watched this like maybe a year ago.
Oh, wow. I have not seen it since the 80s.
Seen it before. I'd never seen it before, and then it was on one of those 80s channels, and cool. probably a little over a year ago. And
Michael Keaton is very charismatic, and obviously, like I say, he was coming off Night Shift, so they gave him a starring role here, and it was a big hit. So
I think it was a couple years ago when he was in that Dope Sick series, and then he won an Emmy. I think it was right around then they did like a Michael Keaton thing where they put like all his movies on, and I think I taped a bunch of the ones I hadn't seen. I hadn't seen before, I hadn't seen in a while, but okay, Mr. Mom, we'll give it a go.
So we're going to watch that. So until then, I'm Chris McBrien. On behalf of myself and Derek Myers and our producer Sloth, we all want to say thank you very much for taking the time to listen to Pop Goes Your World, the pop culture podcast for the generations.
Thanks for listening to Pop Goes Your World. You can contact Chris and Derek at popgoesyourworld.com. Please take a minute and review the podcast on iTunes or wherever you download and listen to the show.